One Piece manga chapter 902. I'll be honest here, guys, this was a really beautiful chapter. It gave us more insight about things we didn't fully know about, specifically when it came down to Katakuri, Pudding, and Brulee. And we even got some stuff with Pedro as well, even though it was a brief flashback. Now, from what I've heard, this is the last chapter of Whole Cake Island. And after this, we're moving on either to Reverie or we might get a glimpse of Wano Kuni first. So this chapter is the finale of Whole Cake Island. Now, even though this might not be the most satisfying ending to an arc, I personally think this is the best thing Oda could have done by giving us a finale that didn't conclude. Usually in the majority of One Piece arcs, we have a resolution at the end of every arc, but this is different and I like it for some reason. I feel like Oda did an amazing job of tying this arc up. Now, even though there's loose ends here and there with how this arc is ending, we shouldn't have too much of a problem with it because we're going to see these characters again. Oda is going to come back to this, not necessarily to Whole Cake, but back to Big Mom. The fact that Katakuri mentioned if Luffy was going to come back for Big Mom means a lot at this point. And let's not forget, Big Mom has a title to uphold, and given how much destruction the Straw Hats did in her territory, and the fact that Smoothie hasn't done anything yet, there's no way we're not going to see Big Mom again. It has to happen, but when and where is the big question. A lot of people say Elbaf, but I'm not entirely sure at this point. We have to see what happens moving forward. But essentially, this is Whole Cake Part 1, and Part 2 will show itself later on in the story. Anyways, I think Oda did a great job with this, but let's talk about this One Piece chapter of greatness. Now, at the start of the chapter, we get a Pedro flashback, and Sanji and Carrot reminiscing about him. Now, I got scared for a little bit there. I thought we were going to see Pedro getting back up or something like that, but that wasn't the case. Now, obviously, Sanji was going to feel like he was responsible for Pedro's death, since the whole reason they came to Whole Cake Island was to save Sanji in the first place, and this is why Brook and Nami were reluctant to tell Sanji about Pedro's death at that point in time, to avoid Sanji from doing something rash. Then Carrot then tells Sanji not to feel bad because that was Pedro's choice. But yeah, at this point, Pedro's death really pushes the idea of Carrot becoming a Straw Hat. It's not official yet, but it might be in the future, potentially during Wano Kuni. We then move on to the stuff with Pudding. Now, midway through this part of the chapter, we get the musical of Big Mom's homie singing, and you know, when we get the musical, things get kind of a bit spooky, but there's something off about this musical in specific, probably relating to Big Mom's powers herself, because she said something about hocus pocus. You know, I couldn't really understand what she was saying exactly. It seems like it was some type of like metaphorical, I don't fucking know what was going on there, but again, Big Mom is up to something. Now, back to Pudding and Sanji. Oda tries so hard to make us feel bad about Pudding. We finally get the revelation of what Pudding did to Sanji a couple of chapters ago. Now, as everyone speculated, she took off Sanji's cigarette and kissed him, and you can see Sanji spazzing out over it, but she proceeds to erase his memories at that moment. And this is so bad for Pudding because Sanji has been the only guy who truly liked her for pretty much the entirety of her life. Even though this was a sad moment in the chapter, I feel like this was a beautiful moment in the chapter as well. Obviously, this is making Pudding a lot more likable as a character now. I feel like Oda is really good at making these kind of chapters. But yeah, shout out to Pudding, yo. But yeah, Pudding, I'm liking her a bit more now. Then we got some stuff with Katakuri and Brulee, and we get more depth to their character, especially Brulee. Even though Brulee had this typical villain way of doing things throughout the arc, Oda in a way humanized her in this chapter by showing us a brief backstory between her and Katakuri. Now she got the scar on her face, and the fact that she knew Katakuri was acting this whole time just to protect his siblings. But yeah, that was great. You know, Brulee seems a lot more redeemable as a character now, even though she was mad annoying during the early parts of this arc. And we also get the reveal that Katakuri chose to fall on his back during his fight with Luffy. Now, this is purely symbolic, people. You know, due to the fact that Katakuri doesn't feel weighed down by this perfect brother persona he had going on. Now, I know the Katakuri fanboys are gonna have their theories about how Katakuri let Luffy win and all that crazy, you know, mumbo jumbo. No, guys, like, Luffy clearly won that fight. I will say though, Katakuri was the better fighter. But yeah, that was dope to see, you know, giving more insight to who Katakuri and Brulee is. Because, you know, throughout the whole arc, you know, Brulee was saying, yo, Katakuri is this perfect guy, he can do everything. I was wondering why it was only Brulee that they focused on, and they gave us the reason for that. So that was great. Finally, we have Big Mom showing up and is out for blood. Now, there's been death flags here and there for Jinbei, but honestly, I doubt Oda would off-screen Jinbei's death. More than likely they're gonna get out of this, but something special has to happen for them to leave. And yes, the Straw Hats have finally left Whole Cake Island. Yo, it's been a journey, yo. 2 years in this arc. Was it 2 years? I think it's 2 years. It's been 2 years since this arc started. Therefore, this marks the end of this arc. Overall, this chapter was a 9 for me. This was a great chapter. I feel like people may not be satisfied with this, the ending of this arc, but I feel like this was the best Oda could do at this point in time. But we're on break next week. The entirety of Jump is on break next week, so no chapter next week. But something I will advise you guys to do while we're on break is to reread Whole Cake Island from start to end again before rating the arc, which is something I will be doing before the next chapter comes out. I feel like waiting every week for a chapter lowers our enjoyment of the series overall. But yeah, man, like this arc, I know people's gonna hate on it. I didn't think it's that bad of an arc. Obviously there's, you know, a few loose ends here and there, but I think Oda has something bigger in store for the future, but we just have to see what's gonna happen moving forward. But yeah, guys, it is Ferro, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.